we bring you our television production. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it. We recognise that a lot of you from all over the world. It's late evening in the Far East. It's early evening in the Middle East. It's early morning in the United States of America. Here in Western Europe, coming towards midday. Coming towards 11 o'clock in neighbouring Portugal, 11 o'clock in Great Britain, 11 o'clock in the Republic of Ireland. So, our spirits are lifted. The rain did restart, but the sun shines out. We have had a rainbow. We've had a very wet track, but hey, it has been deemed raceable. And I have to say, a lot of drivers have been saying earlier this week when we had glorious weather, they didn't mind the fact that rain had been forecast. Some people were actually looking forward to rainy conditions. So, the junior final, Rokas Baciuska, Lithuania, Thomas Preining, Austria, row 1. Max Timmermans, Belgium, Luc Willemse, Netherlands, Benelux, row 2. A British row 3, Sandy Mitchell, Scotland, David Wooder, England. Jesper Sjöberg of Sweden, row 4, Yuri Vips joining him, he's from Estonia. Dean MacDonald, the second Scot in the top 10. He shares row 5 with another Dutchman, Richard Verscoor. Another Dutchman, Dennis Beckers, is on row 6, and Stingray Rob, the best of the USA drivers, joins him. Denis Mavlanov of Russia and Janis Slavinsky of Belarus, and Eastern European, row 7. Bryce Fullwood, Australia, Mauricio van der Laan of Spain, row 8. Marilla Della Coletta, Brazil, and Mick Vishover of Austria, row 9, and the top 20 completed by Zane Goddard of Australia and Michael Christensen of Denmark on row 10. Tamer Kermanshashi, UAE, and Chris Brooks, USA, row 11. Dylan Drysdale of New Zealand and Maciej Chuprek of Poland, row 12. Row 13, Hugo Rangel of Mexico, Jordan Sherritt of South Africa. Row 14, Nicholas Jarbo, Slovakia, and Alex Quinn, Great Britain. The top 30 completed by Nathan Edouin of Spain and Shogo Endo of Japan. Then the guys that got here via the last chance race, Nathan Edouin, Piers, Mariano Perez and Max Hofer, Lisard Santos and Karol Jemanovic. 34 drivers starting this one with 15 laps to be contemplated. There will be more than the one formation lap, I understand. I'm not quite sure how many formation laps. The forecast for the rest of the day, well, it's going to be wet for the remainder of the day, but the heavy rain is scheduled for later in the afternoon. So we're now going to try to shoehorn all 4 finals into this least wet conditions or lesser wet conditions. The junior final away at 12 noon, the seniors at 12:35, DD2 Masters at 13:15, DD2 themselves at 13:55. Full race distance, which is 15 laps in the case of the juniors, 18 laps in the case of the other classes. Well folks, thank you for joining us. And I think I'm also saying thank you to the weather gods that we can go racing again. That's what we're here for, the Rotax Grand Finals 2014. So, who's going to win this one? We don't know. But in 20 minutes time, we shall know. Maybe a bit less if we don't have any issues with the start and the like. 15 laps. They would have been lapping in about 56, 57 seconds a lap in the dry. We're about 15 seconds a lap slower in the wet. Well, my name's Ken Walker. It's my privilege to be with you. I have to say at the start, all of these drivers in their wet weather gear, not always easy to identify them, and there'll be plenty of plumes of water, but I shall be doing my best for you, and I shall be assisted by my timing screen, and also Jill here with the binoculars doing her best to spot through the windows, although they've got a lot of rain rolling down them as well. But we shall get by, and hopefully we get a good race and best of all, I hope we get a worthy world champion, both in this junior class and in the 3 classes to come. In the meantime, thank you for joining us. Another formation lap. So Rokas Baciuska on pole position, joined on the front row by Thomas Preining. And all Benelux row 2, Max Timmermans of Belgium, Luc Willemse of Netherlands. And all British row 3, Sandy Mitchell Scotland, David Wooder England. Northern Europe, row 4, Jesper Sjöberg of Sweden, Juri Vips of Estonia. Dean MacDonald is on row 5 from the United Kingdom alongside Richard Verschoor from the Netherlands. They conclude the top 10 on row 5. This is the back straight, which looked horrendous when we first started broadcasting this morning. It really did look like a river. So bad as these conditions are, it's a huge improvement on what it was. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first of our finals in the Rotax World Challenge Grand Final 2014. Here we go. And we're racing, and Rokas Baciuska from pole position gets outgunned at the start and getting a little nudge. Tommy Preining's gone well, but Max Timmermans jumping to the early lead, and that also looks like David Wooder in the early mix. And the fact that Rokas Baciuska was slow away, 1:43 in the lead, is confirmed to me. If it's 1:43, that's a misread. Well, we've already got contact and several drivers going out, but the driver at the front, I saw Max Timmermans in 1:13. I think Jill's call of 1:43 is 1:13. That does look like Max Timmermans. Rokas Baciuska repairing the damage of his slow start. Dave Wooder did have a decent start, but I don't see him in that front mix as a glance there, and the lead changes. The lead changes, and this is on the opening lap. So, Rokas Baciuska, who lost the lead early on, then trying to bid to get back. That looks as if it's Rokas Baciuska. Thomas Preining, was that in 4th place as they've gone through? Forgive me if I'm struggling a little bit. Oh, and the lead changes again, because that is, once again, Max Timmermans. So 2 changes of lead on the opening lap. Somebody going the short way round of the chicane. Confirmation that it was Max Timmermans in the lead. The call of David Wooder was correct. He's 2nd. I didn't call Sandy Mitchell's name. The Scot is 3rd. Rokas Baciuska 4th. And Dave Wooder takes the lead. David Wooder in kart 126 takes the lead off Max Timmermans. Tommy Preining completing the top 5. Juri Vips running 6th. Just trying to have a look if anybody from the front has gone a long way back. Not so. Everybody has come round with the exception of Maciej Trupek of Poland. Maciej Trupek of Poland at the moment, the only driver. And there goes Max Timmermans back into the lead at the expense of David Wooder. Why should they be racing like this so early in the race? Because there's a world title at stake, and Dave Wooder, does he go back in front? Yes, he does. David Wooder leads Max Timmermans. Behind them, taking closer order, Sandy Mitchell. Rokas Baciuska from pole position, trying to convert that pole position. It was a slow start. Thomas Preining in 4th place, it looks like there. So Rokas Baciuska having issues, and the chicane is not being observed by all of the drivers. I don't know what the officials will make of it. David Wooder leads. Max Timmermans is in 2nd place, and the 3rd place being contested is between Juri Vips and Tommy Preining. It's Juri Vips with the advantage at the moment. Thomas Preining 4 and Sandy Mitchell completing the top 5. A 15-lap race. We're in the early stages, but we've already seen a lot of passing. This is David Wooder in cart 126 in front of Yuri Vips, cart 122. Oh, and Max Timmermans loses another place, and Thomas Preining goes up to third. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's raceable conditions, isn't it? And the leader's changed again, so is that... Well, forgive me, I can tell you the leader's changed. I think that's Yuri Vips. Yuri Vips and Dave Wooder, but Dave Wooder looks to have the advantage of the turn here. That is David Wooder and Yuri Vips. Oh, and they're touching and they're nearly going wide. This is on the back straight, turning onto the fastest part of the circuit, the back straight, and the right-hander on the side, then through the chicane. Not everybody goes through the chicane on previous laps. Driving standards flags, not surprising. Yuri Vips, who was a race leader, gets a driving standards flag. David Wooder, who is the race leader, driving standards flag. So warnings to Dave Wooder, the leader, warnings to Yuri Vips, the second place man, another warning to either of them, and it doesn't matter where they are on track, they would not be the world champion. So they're 1 and 2, but they're on a knife edge, and Yuri Vips and Dave Wooder trading places again, and this is lap 4 of 15. Well, I'm going to risk this and take my eye off the screen and just have a look at the timing for below the top 5. Richard Vascure was in 5th place. Rokas Bachuska, the poleman, dropped to 6. Dylan Drysdale 7. Janis Slavinsky 8. Sandy Mitchell has fallen down from 3rd early on to 9th now. And Jesper Sjöberg of Sweden in 10th place. Just outside the top 10, Dean McDonald is running 11th. Denis Mavlanov, the Russian, 12th. Max Hofer from 28th is up to 13th. Zane Goddard 14th. And Luke Willems from P4 down in 15th place. Mick Vishofer, who went so well early on, he's out of the top 15. He's running 16th. Well, Yuri Vips is from Tallinn, the capital of Estonia. Been karting for 4 years, taking part in the grand finals for the 2nd time. Thinks that Rotax helps jumpstart young racers' careers. Well said, Yuri Vips. Driving for Talvar Racing, Arvo Talvar also going to be involved. Dave Wooder is from United Kingdom in kart number 126. David Wooder, I do believe, from the north of England. He's from, no, southeast. He's from Chatham in Kent. 15 years of age. If he was 19, he wouldn't be in the juniors. Well, these two guys, Yuri Vips and David Wooder, have pulled a little bit clearer, and you can see from our pictures on screen that a drier line has emerged, a raceable line. It's still like a lake on the inside of the tarmac, and there's a good illustration of the lake. Yuri Vips advantage, 0.21 of a second over David Wooder. And is Yuri Vips just kicking away a little bit? I think that 0.211 might be increased. It has 0.412 now. So Yuri Vips pulls out an extra length on David Wooder. Well, Yuri Vips started in 8th place in the studio chat last night, and the fastest lap by Bryce Fullwood down in 26th place. Bryce Fullwood is from the Northern Territories of Australia, the first driver from the Northern Territories to be an Australian champion, and the first driver from the Northern Territories to represent Australia in international competition. He's way downfield in P26, but he's just set a fastest lap. 1 minute 10.448. We're about, 14 seconds slower than we go in the dry. Yuri Vips bidding to be the 4th Estonian world champion at this level. We had Kenneth Hildebrand. We had our studio guest last night, Kevin Corhughes. We had Martin Rump, and Yuri Vips getting himself... Oh, and now this is a closer scrap, isn't it? Kart 122 Yuri Vips is now getting much closer attention from 126 David Wooder. Remember that they're both on driving standards flags. So Dave Wooder wants to be the world champion, so he's got to get past Yuri Vips. But an inadvertent nudge that caught the eye of the officials that drew a driving standards flag would be a disaster. Yuri Vips and Dave Wooder well clear of 3rd place Thomas Preining. These are the two front runners in the technical complex infield, and very nearly touching there. Still very well. Oh, and guys, looking as if there's really nothing to spare. Now, was that David Wooder going past Yuri Vips? It was. That looks like David Wooder. I can't say I saw the passing move, but it does look to me like David Wooder rather than Juri Vips. Thomas Preining still in third place. Max Timmermans definitely fourth. And Richard Verskoor, who you see on screen there, definitely the fifth place driver. So this is David Wooder of the United Kingdom leading Juri Vips from Estonia. Then a big gap to Thomas Preining of Austria in third place. Max Timmermans of Belgium fourth. Max actually closing on Tommy Preining. And fifth place driver Richard Verskoor. And they're the front five, as you see, coming down to turn 1 on lap 8. Confirmation, that's 0.6 of a second separating David Wooder and Juri Vips. Another 1.5 seconds back, Thomas Preining third, and another half second back, Max Timmermans fourth. Jesper Sjöberg now into the top 6. Behind him, Sandy Mitchell is running 7th. Rokas Baciuska, who started on pole position, is now running 8th. Giannis Slavinsky, the Belarusian, is 9th. And Dean McDonald, the Scot, in 10th place. 2 Scots in the top 10, Sandy Mitchell and Dean McDonald. Great drive by Max Hofer to 11th. He started 32nd. Austrian driver Max Hofer from 32nd to 11th. After lap 7, we're at the half race distance. 7.5 laps gone, 7 to go. Max Timmermans has gone past Tommy Preining, and whilst they're a long way behind being the world champion, this is for a podium place, remember. And that thin little strip of drier tarmac where you want to be. This is Max Timmermans in shot, being pursued by Tommy Preining, who is just passed. Behind them, Richard Verskoor and Jesper Sjöberg having a good scrap, and as I look away from my screen, there's a passing. That was Richard Verskoor and Jesper Sjöberg trading places. So they are now behind Thomas Preining 4th, Max Timmermans 3rd, Juri Vips 2nd, but our race leader after 8 laps of 15 is David Wooder. David Wooder from Chatham, Kent. We've had other Kent world champions, not least Mr. Ben Cooper, now racing for Canada, but was a world champion when he was a Brit from Kent. We're on lap 9 of 15. Richard Verskoor in 5th place is driving a slightly lonely race. It's not to all wonder. Was that Tommy Preining getting out of shape? It was, and losing a couple of places. So Tommy Preining in 4th place now, vulnerable to a pass by Richard Verskoor in 5th place. That's the scrap you're seeing at the moment. You can see the wet circuit, but you can see that drier line. I hesitate to say dry line because it's not dry, drier. And there's a passing move being lined up. Is that going to be executed? Yes, it is. Jesper Sjöberg going past Richard Verskoor. So Jesper Sjöberg and Richard Verskoor trading places. And Max Hofer from 32nd is now up to 7th. He gained 4 places on that lap. Max Hofer, the tall Austrian, from 32nd on the grid up into 7th place. Janis Slavinsky behind him 8th, Sandy Mitchell 9th, and Mick Vishover, the Austrian who started in 18th place, completing the top 10. We've still got everybody running with the exception of Jordan Sherratt of South Africa. Jordan Sherratt of South Africa went out 4 laps ago at about the 1/3 race distance, but everybody else still running. Well, 2/3 of the race gone. Just taking stock. David Wooder's lead over Juri Vips is 0.5 second, 0.5. It's then virtually 2 seconds back to Max Timmermans in 3rd place. Max is well clear of Thomas Preining in 4th, but Thomas Preining, and it's beginning to rain again. We're on lap 11 of 15, and the rain is a little bit heavier. I think it was always a thin bit of rain when we started, but the track is raceable. It's difficult, but it's raceable, and if we get to the 75% race distance, we shall have an opportunity to declare a race, but it's best if a world title is won over the full race distance, isn't it? Well, again, I hesitate to look away from the front runners, but let me count you back the top 10. Mick Vishofer is 10th, Sandy Mitchell 9th, Janis Slavinsky 8th, Max Hofer, I told you, 7th, Thomas Preining 6th, Richard Verskoor 5th, Jesper Sjöberg 4, Max Timmermans 3, Juri Vips in 2nd place, and David Wooder leading by 0.235 of a second. It was 0.5 of a second on the previous lap. That lead has been halved, at least in terms of time, if not quite in distance. This is the back straight, which is the fastest part of the circuit. Max Hofer in P6 from the Speed World Academy in Austria. That's at Bruckanderleiter, the track run by Harold Egger. Mick Fiedler from Austria is here supporting the Austrian team. 11 laps of 15 have been raced by the juniors. Well, there's a race for the championship, there's a race for the world title, and there's a race for the last place on the podium, and there's some good dicers a little bit further back behind them. Not really sure where best to focus, because there are good dicers just about everywhere. What we're looking at is David Wooder leading from Juri Vips. In fact, that particular group wasn't the leading group, that's from the lower half of the top 10. Here are the leading group just down below. These guys are in positions 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. David Wooder, cart number 126. If you can spot his number more readily than myself, that is your race leader. Got a good lap in there to go 0.47 clear of Juri Vips, so when Juri Vips closed down to 0.25, that's immediately been negated. Excuse me, Juri Vips getting 2.26 having gone past David Wooder, sorry, saying that incorrectly. Max Timmermans goes forward, Timmermans gains a place. Well, that was unexpected, so Max Timmermans now our race leader for Belgium. Well, we've got the Belgian delegation here led by Koen Lemmens from Team GKS, and Max Timmermans getting himself just where he wants to be, i.e. in the front, but he had to go past David Wooder and Juri Vips. Why might he have done that? Because the rain is a lot heavier. Max Timmermans a little bit bigger than the rest of the guys, and maybe the heavier guys going a little bit better as a result. David Wooder very slight of stature, and David Wooder would not have been delighted to see the heavier rain, but Dave Wooder getting a position here. Can he pass him? And Max Timmermans says yes, go through, because Max Timmermans knew he couldn't defend that position, having got himself out of shape. A commentator's commendation for what it's worth, which is nothing, for Max Timmermans, who could have chopped across Dave Wooder and taken them both out. Instead, he did the honourable thing and said, yes, I've made a mistake, you're inside me, get out there so I can carry on chasing. Great sportsmanship by Max Timmermans. Behind them, Juri Vips in third place, David Wooder, and again Juri Vips trying to go in the lead, and Max Timmermans go in the lead, and doesn't Juri Vips takes both of them. Juri Vips of Estonia, so we're back on track now for that fourth title for an Estonian driver at this level. Max Timmermans second, David Wooder third, and Jesper Sjöberg, who I didn't call in commentary, in fourth place. And in fact, is he going third? Yes, I believe he is. Well, Talvar Racing have produced Alvo Talvar. Are they going to produce a world champion in the shape of Juri Vips? Oh my, David Wooder going back up to second to relegate Max Timmermans to third, and Max Timmermans for the second lap in succession, getting out of shape on the back straight and losing distance as a result. So, one to go. What is this for? It's for a world title. 1 lap to go. We could simply say that Juri Vips just needs to keep the cart on the tarmac. But it's not tarmac, it's sodden tarmac. Absolutely rain saturated. Well, you don't saturate tarmac. Hey, our pictures show you. And Dave Wooder, not yet beaten, trying to get closer to Juri Vips. Juri Vips 1, Dave Wooder 2, Max Timmermans 3, Jesper Sjöberg 4. This for the world title, and 3 of these drivers, and a mistake there by Dave Wooder, but you can forgive him. Mistake by Max Timmermans. Max Timmermans trying to go second, but the pressure thereby taken off Juri Vips a little. We're in the technical complex in the infield. We drive out of it at the Serpentine. And Timmerman does go past Wooder for second. Timmerman second, but Juri Vips gets out of the technical complex in just a moment. Oh, and goes after the circuit. It was Timmermans. And Timmermans again, but it's all about Estonia. Juri Vips wins, the 4th Estonian to win this title. Juri Vips 1, David Wood 2, Max Timmermans 3, and behind them a good drive by Jesper Sjöberg 4, Max Hofer from 32nd to 5th. Richard Verscore 6, Dennis Becker 7, Thomas Preining 8, Michael Christiansen 9, and Murilla Della Coletta of Brazil completing the top 10 at number 10. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed that race. It was not perfect racing conditions, but those imperfect racing conditions gave us a stunning Rotax Junior World Final, and it gave us our 4th Estonian World title after Kenneth Hildebrand, Kevin Korjus and Martin Rump. Well, there you see Max Timmermans on the scales. And Max Timmermans having finished in 3rd place. Kart number 1, 2, 3, Dennis Becker's finished in 7th place. Now, I have to say to you, Juri Vips and David Wooder, who finished 1 and 2, both picked up driving standards flags. Oh, just look at this replay here. Perfect pictures from Kart Data Television production, showing you just how it was. That was even how tough it was on the rundown lap. What was I just saying? There was a warning flag issued late on. If it was to Juri Vips or Dave Wooder and was the second one, I don't think it was. I don't think it was. Let's talk positive. First past the checkered flag, and so far as we are aware, the world champion at junior level, Juri Vips from Estonia. A great drive by the Brit into 2nd place, David Wooder, and a battling race by Max Timmermans for a place on the podium. Jesper Sjöberg worth a place on the podium, but finishes 4th. Max Hofer from 32nd place up into 5th place. Tommy Preining going to be disappointed with 8th. Good drive by Bryce Fullwood, the Australian from downfield. Karol Jomanovic in 15th place, started stone last, absolutely last. Well, he will have wished that was the pre-final and then start the final in the middle of the grid. But 15th, a very, very acceptable position from last on the grid. Mick Vissover of Austria gone really well throughout this week. Sadly, only makes 18th place in the final. Rokas Baciuska on pole position, finishes 24th. That was a disappointment. Denis Mavlavov of Russia and Stingray Robb of USA, good performers throughout, but not making the top 20 in the final.